Alright everyone, welcome to our video looking at the June 22 Pokemon Go events. I'm here today with John
Hey guys.
and Sam.
What's up?
So yeah, we have all been avid Pokemon Go players for... I've been longer than both of you, but you guys have been going for what, 2 years at this point? Over 2 years?
Since the very end of 2019, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And,
that's
and
correct.
I technically, my account says I started in July of 2016, but I took about a 2-year, 3-year break. 2-year break from like 2017 to like 2019.
I think that's the story with most Pokemon Go players. We all started when it came out and then waited
Yeah.
till they made it better.
Yeah, sure. Until it made it very accessible. Getting into the accessibility, I think the main thing that made Pokemon Go so much more accessible is the events that come out every single week now. It seems like, or at least every other week, we're always getting a new update in Pokemon Go, and it's really refreshing to see that. So we're gonna take a look at the ones that we got during June of 2022 and look at them and see what we thought about them, how they compare to what other people have thought, and just our overall thoughts on how Pokemon Go was in terms of their success in June. So I guess the first event that we need to take a look at when it comes to June
Yes.
2022 would be, yeah, and the biggest would be GoFest 2022. Now, a lot of people had negative opinions on this, and we may get to some of that, but for me, I felt like I had a generally overall pretty positive experience. Tropius and Torkoal were both available for the first time for me because I don't travel to play, things like that. So these
Mhm.
regionals being available for me in my region was perfect, and Tropius being one of my favorite Pokemon is awesome. So to me, I had a really good Go Fest. But what about you guys? Did either of you have the same experience as me? What did you guys feel about Go Fest?
For day one, John and I had the same experience. We were stuck in a place for the first couple hours of GoFest, where
I
there
mean,
were
I would
no.
say the first whole day we didn't have access to Pokestops. We were kind of just
Yeah.
stuck in one place for the majority of the time. We were in an area that wasn't familiar to us, and that made it a lot less enjoyable
Yeah.
because we weren't in our regular spot. We didn't know where to go in terms of what would be a good place to find Pokemon, to camp out and like spin stops, get the research and all that kinds of stuff. With the incense, I was able to catch every Pokemon that was featured. We both finished all of the what is it? The collection
Connection
challenges.
pass? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um so I mean we had access to all the Pokemon. It's just we didn't encounter as many as we would have liked, especially with the increased shiny rates.
Yeah. It did really feel throttled for not being near Pokestops or gyms. And honestly, some of the shiny like availability for each of the hours were not the greatest. I got a lot of repeats, but not a lot of shinies at all.
Yeah, it seems to be in general everyone's least favorite hour is the Tundra hour. We're not going to go through each of the hours.
No, definitely not.
People have done that plenty. If you want to go see that, look at something else. This is just the overall thoughts. To me, I had pretty good shiny rates, honestly, for not being able to play for a good amount. I believe I ended up with 18 or 19 shinies, not including traded away or traded to. So this is just what I have at the time of recording at the end of the month from those 2 days. Which is pretty good for not being able to play a lot. I know a lot of people had a lot higher shiny rates. Um, Although my shinies, they were great shinies because a lot of them I didn't have, but of the ones that I didn't have, they were the ones I didn't care about getting. You know, there weren't like I got 2 Pat Rats. I had no Pat Rat before, and now I have two, so I got to make one of them a Watchog. But like that's not a Pokemon I really care about. It's not good for PvP. It's not good for raids. Nothing. It looks cool, but I didn't really care about it in terms of its usefulness. Um,
I
but
think that was one of the biggest takeaways for a lot of players. It was all about the shinies. And I know we're going to focus on that a little bit, but I mean, that's not what the whole focus of the event was. We're still going to talk about it because that's one of the important ones to us, like it is for everyone. But I think it's important to note that each of us purchased tickets so that we could get that increased shiny rate and some of the items and stuff that they provided through all the different tasks that they had for us. Personally, I walked away with 6 shinies for the first day, and I think it's important to break it up in the 2 different days.
yeah.
Um, And those 6 shinies were just sitting in the same spot, very few Pokestops, and just with incense on for the majority of the event.
I think that GoFest is suffering from the issue of being compared to past GoFests. And 2020 and 2021 GoFest were meant to be played remotely. They were not meant to be played in person. They were
Right.
meant to be supplements and the replacement for in-person GoFest. This year, we have the in-person GoFest events, right? We have Berlin, we have Seattle, we have the one in Japan. So people are able to go to these in-person GoFests, and that's what they're focusing on. And because of this, a lot of people were complaining about GoFest because they were comparing it to the last year, where we had arguably the best event Pokemon Go has ever had, especially day 2 with all those raids, and that's just not a fair comparison to me. But I still had a lot of fun playing GoFest, and I think people are forgetting that the most important part about Pokemon Go is having fun and getting out and hanging with your community and being a part of it.
Right. And they forgot that just because we had this pandemic period where they moved away from all the being in person, they made everything accessible from very far away. You had the increased distance where you could spin stops and gyms, and they're trying to move away from that. You can tell. I mean, when they moved from the 80 yards to the 40-yard distance for spinning stops and accessing gyms, there was a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
And so they're in this period where they are moving from we're doing everything remote just because of COVID to now everything's back in person. We need to get back to what Pokemon Go used to be. We want you guys to get out there, meet all your fellow Pokemon fans, and interact with them.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to the Community Day a little bit later in this event. And I think that Community Day was a much more successful version in terms of how they were going about it, where GoFest was looked down upon. But that's mostly because Community Day, people have been clamoring for change for that because of recent changes they've made. And GoFest, everyone was expecting it to live up to this huge hype, which I think was completely unrealistic. I think the regionals were great. The shiny rates were great. A lot of people argued that the day 2 shiny rates were lackluster and weren't as good. I think I got the same amount of shinies each day, and you
I did too.
So
I did not. I only got I think I got 6 shinies the first day, and I only got 3 the second day.
Yeah.
The thing about that is, like I said, I got 6 shinies the first day. I got 6 shinies the second day.
Yeah.
And I think one of the major players in that, and this is my personal opinion too, I think lures had increased shiny spawns as well as incense.
You mentioned this at the time.
Because
I didn't see it, but I believe you.
Sam and I were in a spot where we were around no Pokestops at all the first day. No lures were active for us except for a few minutes in the day where we went and parked by a couple stops in between our events that we had planned in our personal lives. And so I got like 1 shiny off of a lure when I was in that period, that small period of time. And then the second day I went to my main spot where there's a ton of Pokestops everywhere. And throughout the day I just got shiny, 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 even though the rates were supposed to be decreased on the second day.
Yeah. I think you could be onto something there, especially because the lures being a premium item, that they may have been secretly boosting it on it, and I wouldn't be. We're not trying to say Niantic's making you pay for things to but sometimes that's how game mechanics work. So Sam, what do you think on your overall thoughts on Pokemon Go Fest 2022? What did you think about the rates? What did you think about your personal experience playing through this whole event?
For me personally, I was with John the entirety of both days, first and second, where we were together on the first day, not really able to get very much, and the second day, where we were out at a giant park with a lot of stops and whatnot. And I just feel like I got really unlucky compared to John's experience with that. I did not get a whole lot of shinies. The ones that I did get, I got 3 of the same shiny that I had already had before. I got another shiny that was a community day from before, and another shiny I didn't really care about. But I do want to say, personally, I got 2 shinies that I did want, which were Shroomish and Magnemite. Other than that, the raid day wasn't anything really that I wanted to participate in. There wasn't really a whole lot in the raids that compelled wanted to make me do them.
Yeah, what was your opinion? Because to me, the whole shiny Axu and things like that,
Yeah.
I know that next June or July it's the calm day, right? So to
Oh,
me,
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
not worth going out and raiding it. Like especially with how we'll get to it with John having shiny Dino going into calm day,
Yeah, I'll definitely
Yeah.
mention that for sure.
but
Yeah.
with me, I don't feel like spending money on something that I know is coming in the next year. Like
Exactly.
at the latest 2 years, and it's not like I'm impatient about it. Like Axu in raids, it's cool. I use my free raid passes on it. I did a couple Neoligos. Ultra Beast being here is really cool, and I'm glad we have them. And that
Oh
should
yeah.
have been the focus. And to me, because of Axu being released, if we would have had something where we had 2 or 3 new Ultra Beasts in the game for GoFest, that would have been cool. Like literally just like Neoligo and Buzzwole and one other one, and just go, oh my goodness, these 3 are attacking, and then you have 3 new ones at the in-person Go Fest as well. So those are exclusive to those ones. It would have been
Because
a really good event.
there are quite a few Ultra Beasts. Personally, I would have liked to have seen Buzzwole and Pheromosa because I think like those are some of the more iconic Ultra Beasts. And after the in-person Go Fest, I hope whatever Ultra Beasts that they add during those, they're gonna do some other event where they bring them worldwide because not
Yeah,
everyone can get to Seattle or other places where they're
especially
doing the
the
in-person one.
Japan. I think it's in Sapporo. With that one, what's happening is that Japan isn't allowing people from outside the country to go to the Go
Yeah.
Fest because of
Hmm.
their COVID restrictions. But I think
Really?
yes. So I
Wow,
think
that's extreme.
yeah, I think the issue here is that people are seeing GoFest as June 4th and June 5th, right? And we knew
Yeah.
going in that there's still the August finale coming up. And I
Mhm.
think that's when these 3 Ultra Beasts that are at the in person GoFest are going to be made globally available. I don't know that for a fact, but GoFest to me is not fully fleshed out. So when people are complaining that, oh no, we want our money back and stuff, it's like we haven't gotten everything we've gotten from it. And the Ultra Unlock from GoFest made it so that all of the events for the rest of the season of Go for this summer are going to be amazing for us. And I
Hmm.
think that's what people are losing through this. And to me, the community part of GoFest was what was the best part about this event, not necessarily the spawns or the raids or things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say overall I enjoyed the event. The second day allowed me to farm for XP, and I got a pretty decent amount of shinies. And we still have the August finale to look forward to, so that's one positive about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we move on, what let's do what was the best thing and the worst thing for each of us about GoFest?
I think I'll go first. The best thing for me about GoFest was I said the community, but I think on top of that, the increased shiny rates. I know people complained about them, but just in general, the ability to catch shinies that I hadn't had as a mostly free to play
Hmm.
player was really nice in terms of a lot of fresh things. And I think the worst thing to counteract that is that in those shinies that we could get, a lot of them were past calm days, and so they were clogging up the spawns. And I wish that all of those shinies could have been new Pokemon or at least non-calm day Pokemon.
Yeah.
So those of us that play all the calm days weren't basically punished by only being able to catch some of those shinies because that's how the game works sometimes. I get that,
Yeah.
but it's unfortunate. What about you, Sam?
For me, like I agree with the calm day shiny thing, but I think my biggest problem was the lack of spawns away from Pokestops. Because throughout the day where John and I were stuck near no Pokestops at all, we with our incenses we got those spawns, every couple minutes or whatever. And other than that, I think there was maybe 30 Pokemon total for each of us, like actually wild spawns that weren't incense spawns.
Yeah.
But my plus side was again getting shinies that I didn't have before, aside from the community day ones that I didn't really need, but also being able to trade for someone, some of them that someone else got an extra one of that I didn't even get.
I'm gonna keep mine short. The best thing for me, it wasn't a shiny or anything, even though that was one of the main focus points for a lot of people. The best thing I got was a lucky perfect Torkoal. I'm so happy that Torkoal, Tropius, all those regional exclusives were involved in GoFest. That was one of the highlights for, I know, at least me and Nathan. Probably Sam too.
Yeah.
The worst part, I think it was probably just the lack of variation in raids on the second day. I would have really liked to see more than just Nihilego. And I know Nathan feels the same way. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for GoFest. Let's go ahead and move on to the next event in June, and perhaps arguably the best event that we had the entire month, which was Adventure Week. So with Adventure Week, we got lots of rock types. They're returning all the fossil Pokemon. They were out and about. We even got a couple new Pokemon. We got, what was it, Aurora and Tyrant?
Yep. Amara
Okay.
and Tyrant, yeah.
Aurora and Tyrant, sorry. And so let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, what do you think about Adventure Week, Sam? Did you like it in terms of the Pokemon that were spawning?
Yeah, I absolutely loved Adventure Week. I got to catch a lot of the fossil Pokemon, which arguably are some of my favorite Pokemon, and I was really hoping to get, maybe a couple shinies here and there, which I did actually, but they were all Aerodactyls. I actually managed to get 3 of them somehow.
The insane luck.
Yeah, and I got none.
I actually got one too, which was weird. So out of the 3 of us, we got 4 Aerodactyls that were shiny.
I think that the main thing about Adventure Week that I liked is, like Sam said, fossil Pokemon are some of the most beloved Pokemon in all of the Pokemon series, and I think that's just because of, one, how rare they are in the base series games. So to have them readily available for a entire week in Pokemon Go was really good. And I think another thing that we didn't mention when talking about this is that almost every single one of these Pokemon could be shiny. Except
for the new ones.
Except for the new two, which I was perfectly fine with with the new Pokemon not being shiny. We had the introduction of Archon and Tortuga being shiny, which was great.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I know it was locked behind eggs, but even then, it wasn't really. You could get research tasks for it, so it wasn't fully locked behind eggs. And then we'll get to the research day, but Shieldon and Cranidos are 2 of my favorite Pokemon. Both have great shinies. I ended up coming out with, unfortunately, another shiny Aeron, even though I have a million of them already. It actually completed the family for me this week, and then I got another one. But I also got Anorith and Lileep. The Aerodactyls hunting was so much fun, especially because I didn't have Mega Aerodactyl before this. So
yes, that was one of my highlights too. Mega Aerodactyl was in raids.
It was so nice, and especially since they've changed the Mega system, it makes Mega raids so much more viable and wanted, so people are actually raiding them. They are easier, but to me,
before Mega Aerodactyl was like impossible to beat.
Yes, and I just enjoy the format that they've gone with Megas, and this was a good event for that. I ended up getting all of the new Pokemon out of this event. I got a couple good shinies. To me, a lot of people were very positive on the research tasks and eggs that came out of this event. They were very good research tasks in general. That they like, a lot of times they have quote unquote uninspired research tasks, and to me this was not that. It had good research tasks, good egg pools. The half distance on eggs was great for hatching them. It made people want to go walk more. It's the first time I had walked.
And also got a ton of free incubators as well.
Yeah, I almost walked 50 kilometers for the first time during this event.
And that was going to be one of my points too, is that they did something right with this event. Whereas their goal is to get people out and active more, this week made that happen.
Yeah, it made me want to go adventure during Adventure Week, so they were successful in their goal. And I would say that that's all we really need to say about Adventure Week, is that it was very good. It did its job perfectly well and made it so that we all wanted to go play. I know our group of friends that we were playing with, all of us were like, man, we almost hit 50 for the first time in either a very long time or ever. Because the eggs, the spawns, everything about it made it such a fun and enjoyable event to just go out. Like, I am not someone who likes going out and just walking all the time for no reason. Like, that's not an unknown fact here between our friends group or whatever. But I wanted to go and I wanted to play this event, and it made it a lot of fun, and I enjoyed exploring new Pokestops too, because you were boosted XP for that. So I was playing in areas I've never played before, exploring Pokestops I've never played before or at before. So it was a lot of fun, and I think that this all accumulated at Research Day. If you want to talk about that a little bit, Sam.
Yeah, with the research day, it was an increased day for getting Cranidos and Shieldon. Most of the tasks, giving you one or the other, and increasing the shiny rates to actually get those Pokemon. Some of the tasks were super, super easy. It made it really nice to get those chances to get your shiny. I know I personally left with 3 of each of them. And I think we even stopped playing an hour early, if I remember correctly. And honestly, it was probably one of the best days of this month. Maybe even, we still have 6 months to go, but it could have been the best event of the entire year.
I completely agree. I know John disagrees with us, but
Yeah,
but
I'll
we'll
let you
get
go
to
first
that.
though.
Because of being busy for the first 2.5 hours of this event, right? I did not play for 2.5 hours. I was only able to play the last 30 minutes. Mind you, it's probably in the best place in my area at all to play. I just happened to already be there, which was really lucky. I went and played for 25, 30 minutes of this event, right? I ended
Mhm.
up with 5 shinies in 25 minutes. That is insane odds. Was blowing through research tasks. The research tasks they were almost too easy. And I'm not going to
Yeah,
have that as a complaint, because the whole point of it was research days, because you were limited by the number of Pokestops you have. So if people couldn't get to Pokestops, they really could not do well this day. And I completely understand that that's an accessibility issue for some people. If you guys had been at where you were for GoFest, this day would have been awful for you, right? You couldn't have done anything.
oh
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
for sure.
because the actual like in-person spawns, I barely got any shinies off of that. It was mostly from the research
Yeah,
breakthroughs.
yeah.
I
It
don't
was
think
only
I.
from the research
Uh,
breakthrough for the increased shiny odds.
yeah.
Yeah,
So to me, it was amazing event. I got exactly what I wanted out of it. I think I got 3 Cranidos and 2 Shieldons. So I got the shiny family for both and an extra one for Cranidos that I have now to trade for people who didn't play the event. Um, but I know, John, you had an
Yeah.
extremely like unlucky
Okay.
rate for it.
What I'm going to say is because Special Research Day was a part of Adventure Week as a whole, my day actually wasn't that bad. I just didn't have quite the luck that you guys had. So Sam and I went around the park, and we did maybe I would say at least 40 research tasks.
yeah.
I don't remember quite what the rate was. Do you guys remember for Shiny, Cranidos, and Shieldon?
I think it was 1 in 20, so it was supposed to be the same as like
Okay.
legendary rates.
So that being said, I got one of each, and I'm glad that I got one of each because if I hadn't got one of each, at least I would have been pretty upset. But I did, so that was at odds. I just didn't have any extra luck
Yeah.
regarding just the Cranidos and Shieldon. I had luck in other ways because Adventure Week was such an awesome event. That was the day I found my random encounter shiny Aerodactyl.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about, that on a day where the boosted shiny rates were for different Pokemon, you ended up getting your shiny Aerodactyl.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
I think one thing that needs to be talked about is that many people, with the shiny rates of Shieldon and Cranidos Day, and with it being in research, GoFest didn't have that research. So many people were saying that this is how GoFest should have been. There should have been special research. There should have been boosted shiny rods from that, And I don't think so. I think Adventure Week was meant to be the better event in general, because they're trying to get people to go out and Go in the season of Go. So to me, I think Research Day was great, and Adventure Week as a whole was amazing. And I hope that Adventure Week is a yearly event that they bring back, because the way they keep bringing it back like this, it's
Yeah,
never going to get old, because the way they have it set up and the way that they make it so much more viable for people to play during that week. Um, but we moved almost directly from Adventure Week and this Research Day straight into the TCG crossover event. If you don't know what TCG stands for, it's the Pokemon Go or Pokemon trading card game, because Pokemon Go actually had a set released in the trading card game, which hopefully we might do a little bit of something about on this channel, because
Hmm.
we, at least some of us on this channel, really do enjoy the trading card game as well. We are just Pokemon connoisseurs, is what I would say. But
Yeah.
overall, this event was, when I first heard about it, I was extremely excited. And as the event went on, my excitement tapered off, mostly because I think the event was too long, but the event wasn't bad. So I think the great thing was that the starters were in the game. We had the megas for all 3 of the Kanto starters. Um, Wimpod, the new Pokemon, 400 Candy Evolution was in the game. We had Dragonite, Snorlax, and Slacking in the wild, which was awesome. But I think the main issue I have with this, which I'll get into after I throw it to one of you guys, is that I wish that there were more shiny possibilities of these Pokemon. But I'll get back to that. I think one thing that I really enjoy is that Shiny Meltan came back. And if I'm not mistaken, all 3 of us got Shiny Meltan during this event, didn't we?
Yep, that's
I
correct.
actually just got mine last night, I guess today, technically, at 1 in the morning. Because I didn't have like a whole lot of Pokeballs or a whole lot of storage. So right after I got off work, I kind of went around the block a little bit and just spun as many Pokestops as I could. And then I came home, kind of chilled out for a minute, and then did the Meltan box. And actually, my very last spawn was my shiny Meltan.
Yeah, I was lucky enough because none of us had Shiny Meltan before this event.
Yeah, it's probably the best highlight of the event, and that's
Absolutely.
saying something because the event was 2 weeks long and it dragged out for so long.
Yeah, I think the event wouldn't have felt like it was so long if it was only 10 days. I think the fact that they pushed it to a full 2 weeks, to me, it was just too much. I get why it's a cross promotional event. They have to let it go for a while. They have to push it. Um, and I think the thing that would have been more fun, or 2 things that I think all of us agree on, and Sam will especially agree with me on the second one. The first one is that the middle evolutions, as well as Dragonite and Slacking, uh,
Mm-hmm.
all could not be shiny. And because of that, when it was like, oh my gosh, there's a Slacking right here, it's really cool, it can't be shiny, so we can't even get the shiny during this event. Oh, Dragonite, that's awesome. He'll go hunt a wild Dragonite, but it's like once you catch one, you're like, well, it's nothing special. And they couldn't be
Right.
shiny. And so I feel like if they're
And
going to be a feature Pokemon of the event, especially if they're a rare spawn like they were, at least give it base odd shiny. I don't care if it's boosted shinies, just give it the possibility of being shiny, you know?
I had some pretty good luck, whereas I got from one of the collection challenges, I got a shiny Charizard, even though I had already had one before. And then I also got a random encounter shiny Squirtle, which I had never had before, so I was pretty happy about that. But imagine all the missed opportunities I had because the mid evos were locked.
I swear, every single time I saw a spawn, I was like, oh, perfect, let me go look, because I had my sound on and I was waiting for it. Popped up, it's a Wartortle, it's a Charmeleon, it's an Ivysaur. And I'm like, it's great
Yeah.
for getting the candy. The XL candy from having all the mid evos spawn in the wild is great, and I like that. Going forward, they need to keep this. But they need to not be shiny locked. Because that's the thing,
It just doesn't make sense.
we were able to get the base form shiny, and we were able to get the final evolution shiny. If the whole family's
Yeah.
not shiny, whatever. If whatever, I don't care. But if one of the 3 can't be shiny, and that's the one I saw the most in the wild, it's just irritating to me.
Uh-huh.
And then I think the second thing goes along with this, is that the special research was amazing for this event. If
Right.
you could find a Pokestop to give it to you.
Yep.
I kept getting, you don't understand how many times I got the Spin 5 Pokestops for a Wimpod, which I have 800 Wimpod candy after evolving one. So I have plenty of Wimpod candy now at this point. Or 2, getting one of the 15 catch 15 Pokemon, which was the middle evolution, which couldn't be shiny. So it's like you either had to get the 25 and hope you got one of the final evos shiny, or get the 40 and you got a good Pokemon out of it, but only the Snorlax could be shiny out of that. So
Yeah.
the tasks, I think out of all 3 of us, I had bad rates. I had the best rates, but still not great. John had worse rates. Sam had the worst rates I've ever seen in terms of getting stops.
In terms of the stop, this is my biggest gripe about the entire event. I get it. I understand it's a 2-week long event. The better research tasks are going to be a little bit more rare. honestly, it felt like they were non-existent to me at all. I got one as of today research task that was catch 40 Pokemon. I've gotten 2 that are catch 25, and that one of those I got, 10-15 minutes right before this recording. Other than that, the only other ones I kept seeing were transfer 10 Pokemon for 5 Pokeballs and spin 5 Pokestops for Wimpod. And those were rare to me as well. I kept getting the non-event research tasks from both when I had a scan task and when I didn't.
Yeah,
for every single Pokestop.
and that's the important thing. It's not like Sam was being dumb about, oh, hey, I got this task, I have to do it right away. It was, oh, let me check all of these tasks in my area. I don't like any of them. Let me ditch my scan task and check the second task for all of these again, and none of them were coming up. So he was getting double the chances at every single Pokestop for this event task, and it felt like I was there witnessing it. It felt like they weren't turned on his account.
Yeah.
Like, it literally did. Like, we walked through and I got some and he didn't at very similar stops, but like he would be unlucky and have the scan task at one and I wouldn't, and then we'd swap and I'd ditch it and I'd get it and he wouldn't, and we were walking past. It was the worst luck I've ever seen in terms of it. There were multiple times we just sat around for 5 minutes waiting so he could get one of them, and it was like the catch 15. So it wasn't even like the best one. But one last thing before we move on to the community day, which I have a lot to say about it, so I will wait and let you guys say your piece about it first. Ditto, one of my favorite Pokemon, had amazing rates, because it's 1 in 64.
Okay. But, okay, so the thing is that, sorry, go ahead.
And it was on more Pokemon. There is only one downside of this, and I think you're about to get to it, so
that's what I was going to mention. So, this could be an amazing thing if you want Dittos, and you need Dittos, like myself. I still had the April Fool's research task because I just logged in for that hour and I didn't play the whole thing. So I have been trying to get Dittos since April. And this event did it for me. And that's great and all, but there was one downside. If you're doing the collection challenges and you're trying to get a Spinarak, a Bidoof, for anything like that, and it just happens to be a Ditto, you're screwed.
Yeah, my brother was trying to get he's still trying to get a Natu at the time of this recording, because we're recording this right before the end of the month, right before the end of this challenge. He's been hunting for 3 days. He's a very casual player, for just a Natu. And 4 times he's seen a Natu. 3 times he caught it and it turned into a Ditto, and the other time it ran away from him.
Oh no.
I was dealing with the same thing, but I mean, I'm not as casual as him. I try to play at least once a day.
Yeah.
So I got all my collection challenges done. It is just extremely frustrating if you're hunting for a specific Pokemon and then all of a sudden, oh, it's a Ditto.
Yeah, the other thing is with how we've learned the quick catching method recently, and that's what we've been doing to get through all these events. When you're quick catching, you could accidentally miss out on like a shiny Ditto or a Ditto in general because you're just leaving it. And I know that's not Pokemon Go's fault because we're exploiting a problem in their game, right? So it's not their fault. But it's like one of our friends, he actually caught a shiny Ditto and had no clue because he had quick caught it, and he didn't notice for an hour and a half when he was going to transfer out all the bad Pokemon, and he almost hit select all. And then he noticed that the number was different between the transfer because it wouldn't have let him. And he scrolled back, and an hour and a half ago, he's like, "When did I get a shiny Ditto?" And it was really cool to watch his reaction because it was his first shiny Ditto because he didn't do the Kanto tour. But I could definitely see for casual players how the excess of Dittos was annoying. But I love Ditto as a Pokemon, so in general that was great. But if we want to move on to Community Day, I'll let John start this one off.
Community Day. I don't know how Pokemon Go managed to do it, but they perhaps made one of the most amazing community days of the year and one of the worst community days of the year, all in the same month. So the featured Pokemon this month was...
In the same 3 hours, mind you.
Same
3 hours.
Yep. So the featured Pokemon was Deino. But that's probably not what you found a lot of if you were to play this event.
Can I interject with my thoughts on this event personally? Because my event was considerably different compared to you guys.
Yeah, we'll let Sam go first because you had a much less
Before I handed
Zwilus-filled event.
Before I hand it off to anybody, I would like to say that this was a very frustrating community day reveal for me, even though a lot of people were excited for it. Because guess what? I already had a shiny dino. And that was one of the exclusive shinies that I had over everybody else in our close friend group. And I was super happy that I had that over everybody else. And that just vanished as soon as they announced this community day. So for me, I was already going into it with a sour note, kind of. And I just played through the day, got some more dinos. Not as much as I would like because of one very big flaw that Sam is going to mention right now.
I'm going to get into that in just a second, actually. For me, personally, I could understand John's frustration with that because the same thing happened to me with Shiny Shinx. And because Shinx was already in the game when that became the community day, I'm not going to go into that very much. But for me, for this community day for Dino, I had my little brother at the house with me. We were kind of just hanging out. We didn't really want to go walk for 3 hours. So we went out. We went to go to the nearby Pokestops, just chill for a minute and come back. We only played for half an hour. I got 5 shinies. We came back. He had like 3, and he got 2 more, just kind of casually over the last 2.5 hours. So we both ended with 5 shiny dinos. But for everyone else who actually played the community today, would rather refer to it as Zwilius Community Day. And Nathan, do you want to talk about that?
Oh, I will talk about this. So I have been unaffectionately calling it Zwilus Community Day the entire time. It goes back to the issue I had during the TCG crossover event. Zwilus could not be shiny. It was the group play bonus. If there were enough Pokemon caught around to stop, Zwilus would spawn. Now, for myself as a PvP player, because you guys don't play PvP, so neither
Not
of
as
you
much.
neither of you really care that much about the XL candy as much as I do.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to things like this. Even though I like grind out PvP, especially in recent seasons a lot, I was annoyed with how many Zwiluses were spawning. Because
I was very annoyed too.
it was great. Especially because Zwilus is a good PvP Pokemon, and because of the Brutal Swing move, Hydreigon became a great Pokemon for PvP and raids, right? It's great. There were just so many. I feel like the general consensus was that to get better dino rates, you had to walk away from other people, which is the inverse of what you want to be doing on a community day.
Which is why this is the best community day and the worst.
It's amazing because Dino, great shiny. The whole family, great shinies, right? No one's complaining about shiny Dino that it came out, except for John.
Except for the people who already had it.
But everyone most people who know that it's coming out, especially if they're milking it in raids and stuff like that. So I try not to go after that, and I'd have that mindset now going in. But there were just so many Zwiluses. If I look at my Pokédex entry for it, I did the math. On Calm Day, I caught about 250 dinos. Right? That's not a bad amount. I caught 250 dinos. I caught 175 Zwiluses. That is 175 checks that could not be shiny. And it's not even like I could just not catch the Zwilus or whatever. The Zwiluses were so big they were taking up the hitboxes of the dino. So I had to click on the Zwilus and try and catch it. And if I didn't catch it, it was still in the way of getting a dino. So I was having to catch the Zwiluses just so that I could get to the dinos. Especially because I was playing in a very heavily populated park with a whole bunch of Pokestops where everyone plays in my area, which is great because the community there is awesome. And I made like 3 or 4 new friends on Pokemon Go that we have trades that we're like, oh, this would be really cool. You have this, I have this. We're working it all out.
Right.
But the Zwiluses are just taking away from it all.
I also met 2 people, which is the great thing about Community Day, and not necessarily this Community Day, but I met 2 people from Japan, and I got them as my friends, and that's going to be super cool for the future. And that's just one of the positives of Community Day that I wanted to share too, is that you always want to go out and interact with your community, even if it's a shitty Community Day like this one, because Zwelios.
I 100% agree, John. Zwilus to me just ruined the whole day. the raid extension mechanic is really cool, and I like it, and I'm excited to do it for Starly Community Day. I know a lot of people aren't excited for it, but the 4-star raids able to extend Community Day, allow for people who can't play during the time to play for an extended amount of time, but also forces people to be in the community. It's it's a good way of balancing that longer Community Day and Pokemon Go wanting everyone to be out at the same time so you can actually be a community. I think Niantic's doing it right. And if they had just let us know this and introduced this when they reduced Community Day to 3 hours the first time, there would not have been that big
Backlash.
uproar about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we move on from that, I would like to say this one was kind of disappointing for me because I tried doing a Zweilous raid because it was 4 stars, and I know I shouldn't be in that mindset, but I was thinking, oh, it's going to be like a mega raid. We'll have the same time limit. We'll be able to take it out with 2 or 3 people. That was not the case for Zweilous. And I'm hoping that next month with Starly, it'll be a different outcome. But I'm definitely going to go into it with a lot more people, try and get more involved with the community, stay at the park for the whole, what is it, 3 extra hours?
5 extra hours.
5 extra hours, wow. I'm definitely going to be in the park longer than I was last month.
Yeah, I think.
And not just try to do a random 4-star, what is it, Staravia or Staraptor appearing in those?
Staravia.
A 4-star Staravia by myself or with another person, because you're probably going to need 3 or 4 people to do it.
Yeah, and Niantic did mention this in the blog post, but to me, you shouldn't have to put something in a blog post where people have to leave your app to be able to read it to understand it.
They should put like a recommended number of people.
They do in the raids, or at least they used to.
To like your levels.
Yeah,
they do, but it's incorrect.
It's completely inaccurate. Yeah, because the 1-star raids say 5 people. So
and 1-stars are just super easy. You can knock them out in like.
Right, they need to update that for sure.
And I think that it should be based upon your account, and they should be able to read that, and you shouldn't need a third-party account for that. But to me, they did say it, and I knew that because I was doing research into it, which is why I didn't do Zweilous raids, because I was happy with my shiny count, which I think I ended up with 18, which I shouldn't be complaining about getting 18 shinies on a calm day, right? Like that is, it sounds selfish and very, I don't know, arrogant to say, I can't believe this calm day sucked. I only got 18 shinies, right?
I only got 5.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch. No, actually, I had 14. My friend had 18. Sorry.
I think if Zweilous wasn't appearing as much, I would have gotten more. Yeah. And that's the thing that pisses me off, and a lot of people, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know about the Stage 1 evolutions not being able to be shiny.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people went into that day thinking Zweilous could be shiny. And so everyone was clicking on them. They're like, oh my gosh, let's see if I get a shiny. But they were shit out of luck because there was no possibility whatsoever that they would get one.
Yeah. So I think overall, Calm Day is going in the right direction, but the specific Zweilous issue was the main issue with this Calm Day, and I think Starly Calm Day, the way they're fixing it, they're going in the right direction. They just need to not have the group play bonuses turn out with Pokemon of that family that can't be shiny. If it can be shiny, even if it's not Calm Day rates, if it's like 1 in 125 or even base rate, because if it's a base rate shiny on a calm day, it'd be really cool. You're like, oh my god, I caught this as a wild Zweilous. I got a shiny. It'd be a flex.
Yeah. That's the difference between Go Fest and Community Day. People are expecting shinies on Community Day.
Yes.
That is a guarantee. With the chance increase that they have on Community Days, it's a guarantee. And so when Stage 1 evolution can't be shiny, that's a problem.
Yes, 100%.
If they're featuring it.
Yeah.
Like they did this time.
Yeah, I think that overall June events were mostly positive, I would say. It may not sound like we were harping on them a lot, but it's easier to nitpick and find what's wrong about it. And there's so many good things that happened through it. Like Shaman's a really cool Pokemon. We didn't even mention that in terms of the research. Right. Reappearing and him being the Calm Day research as well.
That's fun.
Really fun. The TCG event that there were a whole bunch of collection tests. I got like 8 different things from there. I liked that Meltan was in the collection test, so even if you don't have Pokemon Home, you could get 1 Meltan at least for the decks. It was really good of them. I guess the only thing left to talk about for this would be the Spotlight Hours and research breakthroughs, which we'll get to. and then raid hour. I think the main thing about spotlight hours is, to me, the Pokemon are never the reason I do spotlight hour. It's always the bonuses.
The
So,
bonuses, of course. Yeah.
so the 2 times catch candy was Nose Pass. That was the first week. I usually don't even catch the Pokemon that's in that. I just stack up 100 tasks in my research tasks of Pokemon I want to catch that need a lot of candy, and I catch them. Transfer candy was great after GoFest. So I transferred like everything I had that I wasn't trading that was valuable but not valuable to other people. Got a whole bunch of extra candy. Spinnerack, 2 times evolution. I didn't do that one, but I know Sam, you did that one to get a whole bunch of XP for it.
Yeah, I evolved a bunch of Pokemon that I had ready to evolve for like the longest time, waiting for something like that. That I didn't even have the evolution, so I also got the bonus of new Dex entry for those. I ended up evolving, I think, 18 Pokemon or so, and I got 84,000 XP for that.
Which is a really good rate, honestly.
Yeah,
And then TCG Hat Pikachu. It's a good one because, especially for medals, you can get the platinum medal of the Pikachu fan or whatever if you haven't gotten that yet.
and
It can't
electric type as well.
And electric type, which I know one of our friends was still working on that. It's a rare like, it's not coming back after this event.
It's
It's a
an event
TCG
Pokemon.
hat. Yeah, it's event. So it's cool that that's in a spotlight hour. I'm underwhelmed with a lot of the hat Pikachus. I like the format. I wish they could just evolve into Raichu, but I don't have an issue with any of these spotlight hours. To me, spotlight hours are fun if you can play them. If you can't, oh well,
Yeah,
it's not that you're not missing an event, and sometimes life happens, and sometimes there's things more important than Pokemon Go, and those things, missing a spotlight hour or a raid hour like we're going to get to here and there, is perfectly fine by me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Speaking of
agree.
which, moving on to raid hour, we had Kyogre, which is one of my favorite Pokemon. Sapphire was my first ever game, so I actually participated in Kyogre raid hour. I was running across a park because I was like, I'm not paying for remote raid passes, so I literally was running across a park, uh, going and inviting people to all these raids. It was so much fun. Groudon, I know none of us actually were able to do Groudon raid hour,
No,
were
I
we?
didn't do. The only one I did this month was Mewtwo,
Yeah, which we all did together actually in person, which
right?
was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
Which
Uh,
was following Groudon. They had Groudon for 2 weeks, which is a little strange.
I think
it
it's
would
just
have been.
yeah, it just overlapped the Adventure Week event. So Adventure Week
Right.
was like 8-10 days or something like that. So it overlapped it twice. Groudon,
Yeah,
I think I rated like 4 or 5 of them. I was using like a daily pass on it when I wasn't using it on other things like Rockruff. Um,
yeah.
but I didn't want to really care about raid hour. We are mostly free to play, so we don't spend money a lot of the time on this. So to me,
I
it
think
wasn't that.
I think we should mention, since I think this happened in June, that I don't do remote raids anymore, and that has taken a lot of fun out of raid hour. And
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
only because they don't offer it in event boxes anymore, or for now. They might bring them back, and I hope they do.
I don't
And they
think they
increase
will.
the prices of the 3-pack remote passes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the other thing, is that I have decided not to spend my money on that stuff because I'm buying more Pokemon storage. I'm buying more
Right.
um,
There's other things
pack
that you should be
storage,
focused on.
Yeah.
things like that. I'm buying lucky eggs because I'm trying to grind out to level 50 right now. So things like that, I'm spending my money on, or my
Yeah.
in-game free money that I earn from Pokecoins on that. And buying
Mm-hmm.
the passes at 100 apiece to me just isn't worth it unless I really want a Pokemon. And
That,
I've
and
just
that's
been
just another part of them moving away from the pandemic remote stuff to they want people in person raiding together
yeah,
in their local communities.
which I like in general, but if people don't have a local community or rural players, it's really hard for them. Uh,
Yeah.
Mewtwo, on the other hand, I'm so excited this thing's back. Uh, Shadow Ball, Mewtwo raid hour, we actually all raided together. That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. We were in a park, we were running around, we were starting one, running to the next one, had a group of people like trying to catch up with us, trying to do them. Uh, Luckily, there are people who are not free to play and were trying to join raids because we were inviting friends the whole time. It was so much fun. And then Psystrike Mewtwo Raid Hour uh, was is a lot of fun as well. I Neither of you two participated, but I did. I like the Psystrike ability, and I'm really into raiding things, so getting the Mewtwo with Psystrike for the Psychic type attacker was a huge thing for me. I didn't do as much as we did when we played Shadow Ball all together,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun to Mewtwo, when you're playing with other people, is just so much more fun because it's the nostalgia of it being the original EX raid, the nostalgia of when we were kids watching that Mewtwo Pokemon movie, stuff like that. To me, Mewtwo is
Mm-hmm.
just always that nostalgia Pokemon, so I will always raid a Mewtwo if I can see it and can afford it.
Yeah.
I think the one last thing to talk about is the research breakthrough for the month was
Clink.
drumroll, no one. It's Clink. It's
Nope.
lame.
It's just Clink.
Uh,
It was clean. Yes.
I love Clink's shiny. I
Yeah.
So do I.
when Clink was in
Speaking.
raids, I was doing it all the time. Like anytime when there were legendaries in the game, I was raiding Clink because I want the shiny so bad. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just unfortunate that you only get 4 tries, and I got no
Right.
shinies, and not even good IVs on any of them. I got like almost floor IVs on all of them.
Yeah. Same.
So
Speaking of which, I actually did get a shiny Clink from a research breakthrough, and ironically, it happened to be the same day as what is it? But GoFest, the first day of GoFest.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
I am including that in my list of 6. Technically, I got 5 shinies from GoFest on the
yeah,
first day and 6 on the second day, which says something about the second day of GoFest
yeah.
and lures being a big factor in my opinion. But I was super happy that I got a shiny Clink, and I was really grateful that that was the breakthrough for this month because the shiny is amazing.
I do want to say that. Of course, this is 3 different people talking about the events from all of our perspectives, and it like Nathan said earlier, it might seem that we're nitpicking at each of the events, but truthfully, it's just how each of us played differently or just didn't get to play certain times or whatever. Um, because like you guys had bad experiences with Community Day, but I didn't, and I had bad experience with Go Fest.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that even though we're nitpicking and we're talking about how there's issues here and whatsoever, I think the main thing is that this month especially, and not because of GoFest, just because I think Adventure Week is really what did it. Our
yeah,
friend group seems to be very active, and all of us have gotten extremely active and are planning on playing together. We've planned trades. We're doing like every day. I've traded 100 Pokemon in a day, like 8 times this month. It's insane how many times I've actually reached max trade. I've reached max PvP battles. I've reached max gifts open. I'm reaching max gifts sent every day almost. So the amount of not just our friend group, but all of my friends' list that is playing a whole bunch is awesome. And I feel like Pokemon Go is going in the right direction in terms of where it's going, in terms of all of these events. The season of Go, all these bonuses have been great. And I'm really excited to see what Pokemon has for store in store for us next month.
hmm
Yep, we'll just have to wait and see what they bring to us in July.
Yes, so
absolutely.
thank you for sticking around to the video this long. I know this is our first Pokemon Go YouTube video on this channel, but we are going to be doing this hopefully every single month, if not at least at the end of every season. I think every month would be fun. Uh, Breaking down the events, the spotlight hours, the raid hours, the calm day, anything else we find memorable. And is there anything else you guys want to add before we?
Just say, tell us in the comments what your experiences were through all these events, and let us know what you guys think about all our opinions. And we will read every single comment that appears on the channel, and we might even respond to you guys because we're trying to establish a community with this. We want to hear your guys' opinions, and we want to give feedback to the community.
Yes, and I would say put in the comments your favorite Pokemon you are excited to come to Pokemon Go, what you think is coming forward. Kecleon doesn't count because all of us are waiting for that one. But other than that, uh, we're going to throw ours in the comments actually. So look in the comments of this video. We're each going to list what our favorite Pokemon that we're excited that is coming to this game is, and see what you guys think about our opinions on that. So thanks for joining us throughout this video about Pokemon Go and the look at June 22's Pokemon Go events. And we look forward to seeing you next month for this same exact video. See ya.
Bye, guys.
See ya.